Is this better?
Much better.
Yes. Yes, we'll just wait for a minute. I think we are just telecasting this live on our platforms.
It said recording in progress, so.
Yeah. But I don't think we are streaming it yet.
Okay.
Recording in Zoom, it's happening. Rafi, let us know when we are good to go. I'll be starting the session. Okay. Thanks, Shashi. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 4th episode of the Bright Talks. The first, every Saturday we've been doing this. Today, last 3 Saturdays, we spoke about the role of 21st century skills. We spoke about, the next generation skills. How do we implement and how do we scale up skilling for the children and all. But last 3 sessions, it was all on the panel discussions. But today I have a very special guest with me today. The minute we got acceptance, I wanted to do this as a fireside chat because I wanted to hear more from her, take more insights from her. We have Miss Lina Ashar, who is the founder of Kangaroo preschools and also the Billabong group. And now she has started Dreamtime Learning. We'll get to know more about what Dreamtime Learning is also. And also today, we will talk about the future of this. How do we, impart these futuristic skills to the students? Hello, Lina Ashar, how are you?
I'm very good, Pavan. How are you?
All well. So, like I was mentioning, this is the 3rd time that I'm interacting with you in a panel. Earlier, with Metamorphosis, we have done certain webisodes, but today I'm with a different brand. Metamorphosis has been acquired by Bright Champs. So just to give you the context, Bright Champs is a Singapore-based venture that is instilling next generation skills for children. We are teaching financial literacy, entrepreneurship, coding, and robotics in the schools. And today I'm very much excited to gain more insights on this futuristic skills for children. Right. So before we deep dive into the topic, I just wanted to know, wanted to take your insight on how many children that you think that they are aware about what skills are required for future. In fact, do they even know about what future is going to look like for them, or how early they are in fact thinking about the futures?
I think for children who have access to the internet, they're very much aware that the world around is changing very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's barely a child who has access who doesn't know how to use Swiggy or Netflix or YouTube, or to figure out how to do anything that they want using the information online. So I think for that group of kids, it's particularly scary and particularly even more disjointed than it used to be. So while school earlier was maybe boring, maybe kids just like going to school for playtime and sports and stuff like that, there still was a little brain connection, or the brain still understood a little bit of why it was being asked to do the kind of things it was being asked to do in schools. Today, for children who have access, who understand that the world is changing very, very quickly, that are aware of terms like cryptocurrency and ChatGPT, and that the AI world is being led very, very exponentially. It's a very scary place to be in. So the awareness is there, but they don't feel the agency and the power to do anything about it.
Yeah, I agree with you also. But in fact, when we are talking about parenting as well here, right? I mean, so this awareness, what could be the sources of awareness here? One is internet, like you said. Say how much role that the school is playing, or the teachers are playing, or the parents playing here in giving that awareness. And do you think that there is any structure to this awareness, or this awareness is just happening, organically, like they're growing?
Well, there's zero structure to the awareness. So there's not somewhere where I can go as a parent and say, okay, now tell me what I should be informing my kid and why, and where is the world going, and what does that mean for me as a parent, and what does it mean for my child. So there's no
Right.
there's no place for a parent to go to sort of get this information. And there's very little a parent knows what to do about it, even for a parent who's aware. A lot of shift happened through the pandemic when parents kind of saw that they were paying these very high fees for schools.
Yeah.
And when they were actually, when there was transparency and they could visibly see what kids were doing in those classrooms, there was a huge disconnect. That there was this building awareness that what's being done with my child in a classroom is just not enough.
Yeah.
So now there's a growing awareness. I mean, so homeschooling is on the rise after the pandemic. A lot of those things are occurring, but it's occurring sort of haphazardly. It's happening. A lot of parents who are in IT or who are actually working with technologies understand the shift a lot more deeply and comprehensively than do, say, a parent who's somewhere else. It was interesting. I was at a restaurant last night, and when I said ChatGPT, I'm talking to women who are elite, who like have access. They may have access to Prada, Gucci, and stuff like that, but they didn't have awareness of ChatGPT.
Right.
I went for a sort of income tax questioning the other day. Nobody in the offices knew about ChatGPT. So the issue for me is the access is only getting wider. The divide of knowing, which means the divide of then being able to shift with the times, that divide is also getting wider.
Right. So do you think that impact would be there for the children as well, if parents are not kind of getting exposed to this, or if at all they're not having that kind of awareness? Do you think even for the children, if the parent is not that digitally literate, or they're not aligned with this 21st century's skills, would there be an effect in the children as well? So
there's a lot of interesting things happening, right? Because I'm a parent and I'm an educator. I'm both.
Yeah.
So, there's biased information that parents are absorbing. For example, screen time is bad. That sort of keeps resonating loud and clear without an understanding of what constitutes screen time. And all screen time is not bad. If you spend your, Monday to Sunday watching Netflix, yeah, pretty sure that's not good for you. But if your screen time is spent learning or meditating or exercising, that's pretty good for you, right? So because the media itself doesn't understand it deeply enough, and the media is positioned to always have us feel scared. So they're not looking to feed us good news. They're looking to feed us bad news all the time, because our brains are wired for bad news. So then you'll see ChatGPT is scary, and then you'll see screen time is scary without that understanding. So sure, for a parent who thinks screen time is scary, the only time I see them allow screen time is when they're using it as a babysitter. So it's sad because it's parents who don't have access to help, childcare, who work work really hard, long hours. And when they come home, all they're looking for is a little respite, like just a little calm time, a little me time. How easy is it for them to just then put a screen in front of the kid? right? And the screen then becomes a babysitter. It becomes a source of distraction for the child and a source of like, oh, I've got some me time for a parent. So again, that divide is a really sad and scary one, because it's the parent who doesn't have access to childcare, who doesn't have access to any help at home, who will actually use the screen in the wrong ways. So it's like it just keeps getting scarier for our lower middle class. For a parent who's in the know, who's reading literature, who's understanding, where AI is going and stuff like that, those parents are starting to say, hey, my kids need something different.
Right, very interesting insights. That also one thing that you mentioned is about homeschooling, right? I mean, so of course, I also wanted to know more about Dreamtime Learning, and also your thought process towards homeschooling, and where is it actually leading to. Again, is it as a comfort that people are opting for it, or do you think that there is no relevancy with the physical schools or offline schools with this 21st century that homeschools are emerging? uh, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? And also want to know more about
So
Dreamtime
Pavan,
Learning.
I don't know where you live, but I live in Mumbai.
Okay.
Right. So I just want to take you through a child's day.
Yeah.
The child has to wake up extraordinarily early to get on a school bus. Right. Gets on the school bus. We don't even know whether a parent then has sufficient time to give a nutritious breakfast to the child. And by nutritious, I mean high protein. It's usually like a high carb breakfast that the child gets, right? Which then keeps the sleep hormones buzzing, keeps the child in a sugared up state. The child then spends anywhere between, I think the least amount of child spend, even if your school is next door, I think the minimum time on a school bus is 45 minutes, right? And I'm saying that's for a neighborhood school. Kids spend up to 2 hours going to school. Yeah. In those 2 hours going to school, what's happening? Either the kids are on their screens, if they have access to a screen, or there's power plays, bullying, and stuff like that happens on the school bus. Plus, I don't know about you, but I know for sure that after the pandemic, I do not want to be sitting on Bombay's roads. It's just become a really conscious thing that I didn't realize earlier. Like when we just were doing it mindlessly and I guess we didn't think about it deeply enough. We were in traffic for 2 hours, going somewhere, and 2 hours coming back. And it just was like, okay, it has to be. And today, when you spend those 2 hours, because there's a whole shift in awareness, the stress levels that you actually experience in traffic, we've become mindful of. It's not like it didn't happen before. The stress was hitting us before as well, but today we become mindful of the stress that we are experiencing. The cars honking, so the noise pollution, the air pollution, it kind of gets to us. And for those of us like me who are claustrophobic, it's, oh my God. So 2 hours going on the school bus. Now the kids just reach school, and the kids reach school in what state? The child's brain isn't even in a state which says, okay, now my brain is ready and ignited and energized to learn. Right? You've reached school frazzled. Yeah. Even if you're in an air-conditioned school, your school bus usually doesn't have air conditioning. Right? So now this kid has reached school. Now the kid is going to go through textbook learning. And the minute our brains are wired for meaning. And when the kid picks up this boring textbook and the teacher's speaking to this kid, the kid is tuned out because the brain's saying, this is not making sense. How am I going to apply what I'm doing in this algebra lesson to my real life? So now the kid's going through the school day with all of that happening. Now the kid is spending another 45 minutes to 2 hours coming home. In what state has the child come home? Frazzled. But that's not enough. Now, because the child actually hasn't been able to pay attention in school, there's tuitions, right? One-on-one. For a brain that's already really tired, you're now going to chuck tuitions at it. And then we're in this rat race of saying, I need my child to be a star performer in something. So after the tuitions, and there's swimming, or there's tennis, or there's something or the other. What are we doing to our kids? We're overwhelming them. We're over distracting them, and our children's brains are getting fried. They're literally getting fried. So homeschooling has not happened because it's happened because there's a need. There's a conscious, mindful parent who says, this is not what I want to do to my child. And this is not going to be beneficial in the long run. You know, we talk about this lifelong learning, which is a future skill, right? Because the world's changing so fast that we all have to become lifelong learners. But how will I be a lifelong learner if I'm not excited about learning? If you've put me through this day after day, Monday to Friday, and then I still have homework on the weekends, I have no time for unstructured play, which is when actually 21st century skills happen. You know, collaboration, taking turns, taking risks. These all happen during unstructured play. Why has suddenly Finland become this world phenomenon about around learning? There's nothing magical. They're just giving kids more time to play, longer breaks, and engaging the kids a little bit more in the classroom. That's the magic. But we don't want to take that. We don't want to say, okay, let me give longer lunch breaks to my kids. Let me give my kids more time to play. We're saying, no, now let's get Finland schools here because they seem to have cracked it. But we've not taken any of the problems away from our kids.
Right. I mean, I agree to everything that what you have said, because I'm also saying this amongst the children that I'm also visiting a lot of schools now. But where is this peer-to-peer also learning comes from, this homeschooling, right? Because that is one of the strongest or organic forms of learning where we touch and feel the learnings and all of those. So where is that gap that can be solved through this
So again, we have biases, and we deepen those biases based on what we get told.
Right.
I'm going to again take you to a typical classroom. Yeah. If the classroom is an elite school, you will have 24 kids or 30 kids.
Yeah.
If it's not an elite school, or even if it's an elite school but a lower cost school, you got 50 kids, 55 kids in a classroom. Right. Even with 24 kids,
right,
all the rows are like this. I'm talking about in 99% of schools.
Right.
You've got the rows of desks that are like this. Right. The peer learning that happens is, it's a similar peer learning that happens on the planes. Let me grab my space, because the table is only that big and there's two of us on this table. Let me grab my space. I know how to do that. That's the amount of peer learning that happens. Think about the peer learning that really happens when you're online. So whether you're at Dreamtime Learning, which structures the peer-to-peer learning, right? So imagine how easy it is now to get kids into breakout rooms, to actually work with material as a team. And now, depending on how I want to do that, I can have teams of 2, I can have teams of 4, I can have teams of 6, and I have them automatically. I don't have to say, okay, children, now move your desks and your tables and form a group of 4. Half the class time is gone. Yeah, I just have to press a button because it's all pre-programmed. My teachers know when it has a group of 4, when it has to be a group of 2. And now you've got real peer learning happening in breakout rooms. Now, so these are just things that we have as bias. The only thing you do not get from an online school, the only thing is physical proximity, is physical interaction. If I want to fight you right now, Pavan, I can't do it physically. I can only do it verbally. Everything else is happening online. Pavan, as you're talking to me, you are reacting to my body language. You're reacting to my facial gestures. Your mirror neuron, which is the center of reading what I'm saying, why I'm saying it, whether we feel empathetic towards each other. Your mirror neuron's working right now, and so is mine. So are we socially engaged? Yes, we're socially engaged. I mean, I may not be able to, I can even have a drink with you. And what were we doing through the pandemic? In groups, in our friendship groups, we were actually all pouring a glass of wine, getting on the screen.
True. Agreed.
And having a drink together.
Yeah.
And chatting.
Actually,
so social interaction you have, peer interaction, peer learning you have. The only thing you don't have is physical proximity. Now, I ask you, if you come to Dreamtime Learning, you no longer have to travel on a school bus.
Yeah.
If you're in grade 1 and grade 2, you log in at, say, 9. You finish your school day by 11:20. It's accelerated learning because I've got your attention the whole time. So in 2 hours, 20 minutes, we don't only finish the base learning, we also finish the development and thought leadership around future skills. Right now, as we speak, my team is working on how to integrate ChatGPT into our classrooms. I do not believe in being scared of where we are and where we're going. If we were scared, we would not have textbooks. Years ago, we were told, do not use textbooks with children because it'll mean that they don't have to use their memories to remember things. It'll weaken their memories. Textbooks have only advanced us. We have to work in education. We have to work with the world our children are in because they're already in it. There's no way, Pavan, that you haven't used ChatGPT and I haven't used ChatGPT for what we do. And therefore, wouldn't that be a future skill that we need to teach children to use the tools that they're going to use anyway when they become adults and when they have to produce stuff? And aren't there other magical ways of teaching kids things like problem solving and critical thinking, in which they don't even feel like cheating because it's so exciting to work the brain to doing it, right? So it's as easy as this. I don't know if you play Wordle. Do you play Wordle? Yeah. So we play Wordle as a family where like the whole family is on this Wordle group, right?
Right.
Now, how easy would it be for, and we post every day, how many turns do we take? Like we're in a little bit of competition with each other. Fun. But because the competition is fun, because it's not real, it's not tied to my pay scale or anything else.
Yeah.
I don't cheat.
Yes, we don't.
True. How easy would it be for me to cheat and get the top score every time? But we don't. Our brains are not wired to do that. Our brains love problems. Our brains love challenges. So why do we assume, why do we go with the bias that kids are going to use it to cheat? I'll tell you when kids cheat, when the stakes are so high, when getting into a university is a 0.000001% of a difference. When cheating can mean the difference to me getting a college admission or not, that's when we cheat. When the stakes are really high, we cheat. The brain is not naturally trained or created from an evolutionary perspective to cheat. there are things, it's not like AI is unscary, right? There are ethical implications. But now, instead of teaching algebra, we should be teaching ethics in interesting ways to kids in schools. Because you know what? ChatGPT is only made up of the language we give it. So I heard a very interesting, so I went to, before I started building Dreamtime Learning, I went to a futuristic thinking conference called Singularity. And it's run by these futurist thinkers like Ray Kurzweil and Peter Diamandis. And Peter Diamandis said, he's so aware that AI is feeding off the language patterns that we give it, that he makes sure he's kind to Alexa. He doesn't say, Alexa, turn on the music. He says, Alexa, please, could you play this song for me? So he's saying AI can only build off the human intelligence that is there. And if the human intelligence is more kind, is more empathetic, is more, more compassionate, more loving, then that's what we will teach AI to be.
I mean, this is full on information for me. And also my last 3 episodes were completely about, say, NEPs, and I was just talking about on the academics perspective. And today I think I've got an amazing dimension, and in fact I can't resist asking you some entrepreneurial questions here. um, uh, After my exit at Metamorphosis, I was also looking at what could be the barriers of entries for these homeschoolings, right? Because for a physical school, as an entrepreneur, if at all I have land and if at all I have teachers and things like that, still there are a lot of barriers of entry, because land is one of the biggest barriers of entry. But as an entrepreneur, if at all I wanted to start one homeschooling here, what could be the barriers of entry here? Because I wanted your entrepreneurial perspective on this.
Okay, so it depends why you're doing it, right? So why I am doing this is I want to shift human consciousness. I want to make the world a kinder, more loving place to be in. For me to be able to shift human consciousness, I have to reach 1 billion learners. I believe in what Einstein and Tesla said, that we have a magnetic intelligence force field. Right? And I was talking to my son, and I said, what's to say the way we feed in stuff into ChatGPT and it's a language model, so it starts building its own language. What's to say every thought we think doesn't go into a unified field of intelligence that we then feed off? Because both Tesla and Einstein and Lina Ashar will tell you, we don't know where our ideas come from. The way that some humans are able to generate ideas is basically because they've stayed in touch with their intuitive self, and they've stayed connected to their soul. So the first question is, why do you want to? I'm going to ask you a question. Give me various scenarios. As an entrepreneur, why do you want to start a homeschool? I'm asking you.
So one is no capital for me, because I need not invest in the capital. I can actually start it off. And the second thing is, I also feel that the current, if at all I have to set up a school, I might not have the expertise of handling a lot of ground staff and things like that. As an entrepreneur, I'm very much well versed with the technology. So for me, it's an easy entry for me to start. I think that's when I will start. But definitely, I'm not into pedagogies. I'm not into methodologies yet.
So if you're if you want to be a small entrepreneur, right? If you want to be an entrepreneur who doesn't want to work for someone else, but say you're a great teacher.
Right.
Yeah. You can use a third-party platform.
Right.
And you're already a great teacher, so you don't have to invest in pedagogy.
Right.
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 And you already, if you're, we very little think of teachers as brands. But
Right.
we all know that we want to get into, so-and-so ma'am's class because so-and-so ma'am is a great teacher, or so-and-so sir's class because so-and-so sir is a great teacher. And we've got this physics wala who started something.
Right.
Right. So if you're a teacher, a great teacher, you use a third-party platform, you're already a brand, you go online, there's no entry barrier. No entry barrier. Now, if you want to do something like I'm doing, which is touching 1 billion kids, I have to invest in technology. I have to invest in pedagogy. The reason why my learning system is so powerful is because I work with each, we call them curiosity and excitement architects. I work with each one of them to say, your session has to be as exciting as Kung Fu Panda. Because that's what you're competing with. You are not competing with another school. You're competing with the OTT platforms. You're competing with video games, because you're competing with all of them for a child's attention. Correct? So if you want to make it big, then and you want to scale, then you need money for tech. You need money to develop the back-end pedagogy, and you need money to build awareness. Because I can do A and B and invest all this great stuff, but I need kids to come to school. Now, if Lina Ashar starts an English class without building awareness, sure, I can get like 24 kids. But if the impact is massive, then there is an entry barrier, because you do need to invest in all these things.
And it's very much scalable as well.
It is, if you're very good.
Yeah.
Because if you're not very good, what will happen is somebody who is very good will come in and take that plate.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And so again, coming back to the future of skills, Lina, so just wanted to know, so do you think, say, right now, say we spoke about few skills, right? Say you saw talking about collaboration, you spoke about taking risks, or awareness on the emerging technologies and things like that. Do you think, again, there will be a shift in the need of the skills moving forward, or even with these skills itself, like, in fact, how the current schools and also homeschoolings are actually measuring the impact? So right now we are doing even, say, homeschoolings, but even if at all I Google about the homeschoolings, and if at all I talk about, if at all I want to measure the impact of the homeschoolings also, I might not get the relevant data. So what measures that you are taking to kind of measure the impact of learnings through homeschoolings here?
So there's two outcomes.
Right.
One are the explicit outcomes, which are the border-aligned outcomes, right? The child knows how to read text, the child knows how to add 2 + 2 = 4, things like that. Then there are what we call the Dreamtime outcomes. So Dreamtime is an acronym for, my child has to be a design thinker. My child has to be a reflective learner. My child has to be excited about learning. And I can measure all of these. I can measure all of these. Now, when you talk about propensity to take risk, right? You shift that propensity to take risk by the pedagogy. So if my child is not scared to give the wrong answer, he's developing the appetite of being able to risk giving the wrong answer, because now he's not judged on it. That's why kids love video games. Video games don't judge you, right? Video games allow you to take risks which are safe. If you take a risk when you're playing a video game, the worst is you'll die, but you won't really die. But you just know not to do that again, because you don't want your avatar to die the second time around. But your ability to take risk through games and things like that is very, very high. So we use the neuroscience of that in what we do. So if a child knows that he can take a risk with his answer, then it's great. He's going to, so give you a very interesting insight. Like my English is impeccable, and I actually correct and edit English, pedagogical experts who I have to correct their grammar and everything. I failed grade 12 Australian school English, and I know why I failed. There's a piece I had to write, which was write about a body of water you know well, which is how Billabong came into being. My piece was beautiful. It was about the spiritualness of water, water being in a mother's womb. And my whole story was from an embryo to actually tasting water outside as life. But the people who are assessing it couldn't understand it. Right? I just came back because I'm on the board of these chain of schools in Maldives, and they've got a Finland school as well. And the Finland principal was saying, we need to bring in someone to teach and assess art. I said, and on what parameters will someone assess art? I said, I don't like Pollock. I just think he's just chucked some paint on a canvas, but he sells for millions of dollars. Right? And I can give you example after example. So what's to say, and this was drawn for me by a Maldivian kid, what's to say that this is not brilliant art? Like this shouldn't go for $1 million. Who says that? Because the value of art is in the eye of the beholder. And then we put these values, then these notional values become things like who says cryptocurrency is a currency? Who says a $2 bill or a 500 rupee note is anything? It's the story we've given it to be something. Okay? So there are things like this that we don't need to assess everything. We've got to make sure that we create the conditions in which we allow children to say that taking risk is okay. And we do that by starting small, that for them to take risks with their answers, for them to take risks of putting their hand up and contributing and not being ridiculed or not being told by the teacher, no, that's wrong. That we build those into our learning design. Right? We build in stories about J.K. Rowling, about Elon Musk, about Michael Jordan. We build all these stories in about people who persisted, who took risk, because everything is a story we tell ourselves. Every thought is based on the story you have of yourself. If Pavan feels he's confident, he's incredible, and if he wakes up every morning saying, I am confident and I'm credible, and that's what his brain believes. And then the chances for Pavan to go out and be incredible are 10 times more likely than if he woke up every morning saying, Pavan's a loser, Pavan doesn't do anything right, Pavan got the first 5 questions of that answer wrong. And then on top of that, the teacher tells you, Pavan, you're wrong. And next time Pavan's just too scared to put his hand up because like his brain's already saying, when you put your hand up, you're taking that risk of being wrong, just keep your hand down. Now, these are things that are designed to either have kids think in terms of risk or not. We don't have to test it. You don't have to say to a kid, are you ready to jump out of a building? Let's see if you can take that risk. You're not. But you are likely to say, hey, can you draw Miss Lina something that she can take home and put up on her wall? And she's going to love it and she's going to value it. And when you're told that as a child, you're going to take the risk and you're going to paint.
Right. So I'm just on this note, I'm just taking a couple of questions that I have got. What, according to you, are the top 3 skills that will be the need of the hour?
Depends on who you are. You know, I think we ask these kind of questions that are really, they're based in how we learned question and answers in school.
Right.
Right. Now, you've got me here. Is maths important? Sure, maths is important. Do I understand maths? I don't. As Lina, Ashar, is communication important? Very important. Is the ability to stand up and publicly speak and tell a story important? Very important. Everything depends on who you are. If I had to say that there's one skill necessary, and it's not even a skill, if there's one way of being that's really necessary, it's to be anti-fragile. And to be anti-fragile, it means a whole lot of things. It means that you've learned resilience. It means you've learned self-regulation. So you've learned to respond, not react, because it means you've learned to deal with uncertainty. It means you've learned to develop a curious and a learning mindset. It means you're going to be confident. That even if you fall down, you will dust yourself, get up, and get back on the bike. So if you had to tell me what's the one, so I'll give you two now. Now that you're asking, the second one's also come to mind. One is being anti-fragile. And the second one is, if you look at the future economy as the attention economy, right? Bright Champs is wanting to see how many people can be as part of its tribe so it can do other things that it's doing. Yeah. You and I are collaborating in this effort to say, hey, you know, Pavan, your tribe and my tribe might be similar. Let's come together and form a bigger tribe. So if we say the future is the attention economy, then there's two super skills. One is, can I grab your attention? And the second is, can I not give you my attention? So can I be a master of my own attention? Because if I'm not a master of my own attention, I'll be watching Netflix Monday to Sunday. So mastery of my attention and being able to master your attention are two really great skills. So there you go. I gave you three. Even though I said I won't give you three.
Right.
But all of this really depends on who you are, right?
Right.
What is your way of being and presenting in the world with what problem you want to solve, or, you know, what magic do you want to create?
Right. So that we have other questions from a parent. Even though I would love to send my kids for homeschooling, I'm just worried about their attention span online. And what about the sports?
Okay, so we'll go so the attention online is greater than the attention offline.
Oh.
The fact that I can mix the media, I can keep your brain in, so the brain loves novelty. Right? So it's basically, if I give you ice cream every day, the first day you'll love it. By the 300th day, it's just become like a normal thing and you don't really love it anymore. You're looking for something else. Right? So the brain loves novelty. The beauty of what we can do online is we can keep mixing the media. So I can use GIFs, memes, videos. I can get kids to draw mind maps. I can do polling online. I can keep mixing up the media and keeping the brain alert. Right? At the same time, I give the brain downtime. I get the brain to understand how to breathe. We do little things we call exercise snacks in between. Right? Which gives they're basically snacks for the brain. Movement, breathing, centering, grounding, eye yoga, all these things. So that's now about attention. In fact, we finish school in half the time your kid would need to spend in a school, in a physical school. So that's part one of the question. Part two of the question is this, that when you finished school in 2 hours, 20 minutes, you got all the time to go and develop yourself in a sport. The sad thing is, I mean, I started sports and performing arts in 2000. When we built the first primary school, I said, parents are sending their kids to school, and then Monday swimming, Tuesday this. Now, what if I can integrate it in the school day? So I actually started sports and performing arts in India in the sort of format that it was in. Now, what's happened is you've got all these businesses that have set up around sports and performing arts. You've got Helen O'Grady, and then you've got some sports company and another performance company and another music company and all of that. But what happens is, for them to make money, they have to teach at scale. So they've got to, you've got to put 40 kids into basketball. Now imagine 40 kids in basketball with 2 hoops, a 1 hoop and 2 balls. What skills are actually going to be developed in that 40-minute session or 50-minute session that a school has? By the time a kid changes his clothes and gets the ball in his hand and he gets a turn to dribble, you would rather send your child to an expert in that field for coaching. So no parent, when I was running Billabong, had the kid in sports that the kid was really good at. Because if you were really good at cricket, you were going to an academy. Because what you were learning, because if you're up here and you're playing with kids who are here, you're just playing. It means you're not perfecting the art of sport, or you're not perfecting your skills, right? So when now your child finishes school in grade 1 and grade 2 in 2 hours, 40 minutes, or in grade 3 and grade 4 in 3 hours, 20 minutes, you've got the rest of the day for your child to be engaged in unstructured play, which is where real future skills happen. And you've got time for your child to go and play sport or play music or do whatever in a way that doesn't overwhelm the child, doesn't stress the child out, and you're not over managing your kids.
Right. So 2 hours, 20 minutes it's
2 hours, 40 minutes.
2 hours, 40 minutes. I think most of us are spending time to, in fact, getting ready to a school, getting onto the bus. I think that in that time, we're finishing the learning. That's I do think this is going to be the future.
Absolutely. So you've got, I'm doing a talk this evening at 4 o'clock as who will be valued in the age of ChatGPT. And, we have to give children the ability to personalize their learning.
Yeah.
So what that means is, if you finish this core plus in this short period of time, now, Pavan, what were you really excited by as a little boy? I'm asking you.
Yeah, sports.
Sports. So now you've got the rest of your day, but are you a sportsman today?
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm just not.
Now, so maybe if we had given you enough time to go and master your sport, you could have been a sportsman today.
Very much.
Right? So we've got to give kids back time to specialize and personalize the learning in their deep area of interest.
Right.
I'm learning all the time. I go for a walk in the morning, I'm listening to a podcast. The podcast is either something like Hidden Brain. It's like something about that teaches me more about the brain and behavior, or the future context of the world. These are the three things I'm listening to when I'm doing my walks in the morning. So I'm constantly deepening my learning to keep updating myself with what new is known in these areas, so I can infuse it into my learning design.
Yeah. Agreed on this. We've got one question from a parent again. So as a fellow parent, what measures are you taking to impart the skills that you mentioned?
So as a fellow parent, my son is now 33 years old.
Okay.
So whatever's done is done, and whatever's not done is not done. I think I followed him. I followed my child. I looked at what he was interested in. My child, and therefore I can counsel parents with full authentic belief when I say my child did not get an IB diploma. My child got a certificate. And I told my kid, it's okay. What you're going to learn today, if I send his English teacher his business reports, and I have, she's fallen off her chair. He actually has written this. Our brains need a reason to do things. If a brain doesn't see the need to do something, it's not going to do it. Whatever class. And reasons why brains do something is their parents' love is usually hinged on the report card. Or a child's brain feels that. That's why you have so many suicides. Because the worst thing for a brain is rejection. And rejection from a parent is the ultimate rejection. So the reason we have suicides after grade 10 and grade 12 results is the brain unfortunately believes that if I failed, I'm going to be rejected. I'm not safe anymore. I'm not going to be loved. No parent means to do that. No parent means to do that at all. But as a society, we've got to stop allowing schools to post 99.89 and these are our top scorers and India's top scorers and celebrating all of them, because it's not the top scorers that are going to make everything. It's actually the kids who are not, because the top scorers don't take risk. The top scorers do not take risk. They do what is needed to conform and comply and get that grade. It's the B graders and the C graders who take risk, who understand that everything's not about this score. Now you can do both. You can get kids to have great grades because they love the learning. They want to do it, not to please their parents, but because it means something to them, because you made it relevant to their life. Now, if I'm taking something like, say, that kids are really interested in, a lot of kids are like interested in Harry and Meghan, for example. And I teach statistics through that, and I teach perspective through that, and I teach history through that. Kids are hooked. Something relevant, that's something really going on in their world, now that you've connected to everything else. Now they want to know the history of the monarchy. But if you are teaching them history of monarchy, Henry first came, then Victoria came, then Elizabeth came, and these are the dates when they came, and this is what they did. How is it connected to their life in any way?
Yeah, so, I mean, so to add to this, so I wanted to know on the accountability of the teachers also, right? When we are talking about this homeschooling versus the physical schooling, do you see any difference in the accountability of a teacher here?
So I'll tell you why the accountability is higher. One is I forgot to extend my answer last time. Every learning outcome is tagged at the back end of the technology. So now, whether a child has attempted something 5 times or got it in the first time, the tech picks up. Now, if all the kids took 5 shots to get it, I have to either go back and look at the learning design or go and see how the teacher taught it. So I've actually got hard data. I've got transparency. I've got all the recordings. I've got all the outcomes tagged at the back so I know what's happening. Another beautiful thing happens when you're teaching using technology is that based on, say, even like, say I'm an ace at math, but I could have a bad one day. I'm tired, I'm sick. This concept I didn't understand. But if I didn't understand this concept, all my future math blocks can get broken because I didn't understand this one concept. So in our back end, every concept outcome is tagged. Now, when we have revision classes, now in revision classes, what happens to the bright kids? They get bored. They start playing up, right? Now, based on the outcome, if 5 kids were able to crack this, they go into an expansion class. So we create 2 different learning outcomes in the revision class. One is to expand thinking, and one is to practice the concept that wasn't learned.
Hello.
Yeah. Did you hear that, or was it?
No,
was
no.
it
I think we lost the last 30 seconds.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you map to every single conceptual understanding,
Right.
at the end of that, you get the data which says a kid needs to go into a practice session or needs to go into the expansion session. Now, I'll give you an idea of, like, if you're teaching math and the child has cracked addition, like the child has aced it, additional practice is not going to do anything for this kid. Now you put them in an expansion class where either they create their own worksheet, or you say, okay, the answer is 6. What are all the possible questions? And you take them beyond thinking mathematically. You take them thinking in language, in history, and everything else. Okay. But every outcome is tagged at the end. So actually, your accountability goes up. The second thing is, it's transparent, right? I can walk into a classroom, any teacher's classroom at any time, and see what's going on.
Right.
Which the principal will do. Now, if the principal has to walk from corridor to corridor, classroom to classroom, she can maybe do 4 or 5 observations in a day.
Yes.
Using technology, she can jump in and out of classrooms.
Yeah, yeah.
She knows, okay, this one's going well, the kids are engaged, everything's exciting, this is good. Bang, go to the next one, bang, go to the third one, bang, go to the fourth one. I can do like 50 of them in a day.
Right, right. I think all my open items have been answered today, especially on this homeschooling. But whether I mean, today, just to kind of sum up the kind of skills, the futuristic skills that you spoke about, I think the anti-fragility is something that is definitely required for the students. And thank you so much for opening up a new dimension on in fact, on the parenting, also in this 21st century, how do we kind of deep dive into the specialities that every child is liking? And also thank you so much for giving us a lot of light on Dreamtime Learning as well. It's a great initiative. Congratulations on the launch for it. And in fact, looking forward to collaborate with Dreamtime Learning, and also see how, in fact, the transformation is happening on the schooling end as well. It's really interesting sector. Thank you so much for your insights, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Pavan, you're welcome to step into any of our classrooms at any time.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're that transparent, and we'd love to collaborate with you in any way you can think possible. Sure. And the future is all about collaboration, not about competition. Yes. So let's keep that as the key future skill.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much for watching us. Thank you.